Hi and welcome to another narration presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to tap the notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. Oh, and don't forget to share the video far and wide. This will all help with YouTube's algorithm and will help promote the channel more. If you enjoy listening to the following story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. I'm sure they would appreciate it. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. Can anyone help me? I'm on a bus that refuses to stop. I don't know where I am. Part 1. This fantastic series is written by Darkly Gathers, a wonderful author over on Reddit's nosleep subreddit. Okay, I'll admit it, I'm an idiot. I fell asleep on the bus like a dingus and now I don't know where I am. I really don't know where I am. I reach into my pocket and try my phone. 17% left. I should be okay. I load up Google Maps, or at least I try to. I tap my finger against the screen impatiently as the bus rumbles softly through an unfamiliar part of the city. Could even be a different city. How long were you asleep, Yaz? I study the time displayed at the top of the phone for the first time. Oh God, I've been sleeping for over an hour. What the hell is wrong with me? I decide to give up on maps and just go straight to my contacts. The phone dips to 16% as I'm scrolling to my mom's number. I tap it and raise the device to my ear. The phone beeps, then crackles, and then just goes silent. I can't even tell if she's picked up. I try for a second time, but the calls don't seem to be going through. My breathing gets a little shallower. I'm starting to freak out a bit now. I allow myself a tentative glance around the bus. I've never been a confident girl. The idea of admitting to someone that I've been an idiot and gotten myself lost, it makes my skin crawl. Yes, even to these strangers. If you're an introvert like me, am I using that correctly? Introvert? Then you'll be able to empathise. I'm well aware of how pathetic it is, but I hate talking to strangers. Worse if I have to admit some fault as I'm doing so. There are 3 others on the bus, not including the driver. A young woman, a few years older than myself, maybe in her early 20s, near the back, and a few rows ahead are a man and his daughter sitting in strained silence. I don't want to talk to them, they're giving off a really weird vibe. And the thought of waking somebody up, that's mortifying. So I remain in place, shifting uncomfortably. I stare out the window at the scenes beyond, willing, hoping, praying that I'm going to see a familiar statue or landmark. I'll recognise a street sign or something and I'll be able to make my way home. But there is nothing, only the grimy walls of run-down buildings, tents constructed across the sidewalks beneath flickering streetlights. The longer I wait, potentially, the worse it gets, but I can't bring myself to move. I just stare at the scenes beyond as the sun starts to set in the distance. The world outside is cast in a faint dusty red and I realise I'm running out of options. Yaz, get a grip. People make mistakes. You have to speak to the driver. Just go and ask them where we are and if we're going back the same way we came. Go on. I spend the next 5 minutes rehearsing what I'm going to say in my head, and then with a deep breath I rise to a stand. Body now in motion, I step into the aisle and stride down the length of the bus, the front drawing closer and closer as my heart pounds. I stop by the driver and quietly clear my throat. Excuse me, I begin. Sorry to bother you. The driver interrupts with a grunt and taps the little sign by the wheel. Do not talk to driver, it reads. I squirm, but press on. I have to. I'm sorry, but I don't know where I am. I've missed my stop. Are we going back? Another grunt, louder this time, and the driver knocks the sign with his knuckles more violently. I freeze. I hadn't prepared for a reaction like this. After another long moment more, and all without even taking his eyes from the road, the driver grabs a glossy papered printed bus route from a rack to his left and slaps it down on the counter. I stutter out a quick thanks and grab it up, returning humiliated to my seat. I pass by the girl and her dad as I do so. Something compels me to glance up from the floor, and I do so. I meet the girl's eyes. She's about the same age as me, and she looks frightened. The man looks straight ahead. He doesn't look like he could be her dad, to tell the truth, and his hand is on her leg. My concerns with the driver are suddenly lost beneath a much thicker layer of panic. I try to rationalise the situation as I pass them by and sit down back into my seat. But I can't. I think the girl is in danger, and as the only one who knows it, it's now on me to do something about it. My heart rate seems to double in my chest. I put my head in my hands. I run them through my hair. I try to ignore what I saw and study the glossy bus route. It's useless. I don't recognise the map nor any of the stops. The place I got on isn't even listed. I stuff it away and look out the window. My leg jitters and I peer back down the aisle at the man and the girl. Is he sitting closer than he was before, or am I imagining it? Oh my God. Oh God, what do I do? And what if I'm wrong? And what if I've misjudged the situation entirely and I cause a huge scene? I think I would just die from the humiliation. But the clock is ticking. I imagine myself watching the news tomorrow. I see a headline about a girl who befell some terrible twisted fate. I clench my hands against my knees. Something is going to happen. I can feel it. Something bad is going to happen if I let it. I try to put myself in her place. If I was being harassed, if I felt threatened or in danger, what would I want someone to do? What would I want them to do? Something is the answer that comes to me. I would want them to do something. So before I can psych myself out, I rise once again to a stand. I expect to feel the blood drain from my body, but instead I am caught in a wave of adrenaline. I stride into the aisle a little closer, and I call out loud, way louder than I had planned. Excuse me! The man remains facing ahead, but the girl swivels in her seat to look at me. Are you okay? I ask her, and she shakes her head. Driver! I shout to the front. There is a girl in trouble on your bus. She's in danger! The man beside her jumps right out of his seat at once and spins to face me. I get a much better look at him. I was right though. He doesn't look anything like the girl. Not that there's much there even physically weird about the guy. He looks terrifyingly normal. Normal except for his eyes. Like a shark's, they stare blankly right through me, at nothing. The tension in the bus pulls tighter. I'm holding my breath. The man seems to realise he has made an unfortunate mistake, but drawing such attention to himself, and for one terrible moment I think he's going to come after me. I double down my efforts and raise a shaking hand, a hand that ends in a pointing and accusatory finger. Keep your distance and stay away from her, I warn him, in a voice that threatens to leave me altogether. Something bizarre happens next, something really, really weird, but the stress of the situation won't allow me to process the events for a little while yet. The driver, without speaking, and without stopping the bus, rises swiftly from his seat. Emotionlessly, he strolls down the aisle and unceremoniously grabs the man from behind, around his arms. The predator barks with frustration and struggles, but the driver, despite being physically smaller, doesn't even break a sweat. He drags the flailing man back through the bus, pulls the lever to open the bus's door, and to my shock, throws him out. He throws the man right out into the street. Then he sits back in his chair, closes the door with a soft hiss, and resumes control of the wheel as if nothing had ever happened. I stand there for perhaps a minute more, though I have no idea of the times really until I stumble back into my seat in a daze. The second I do so, the girl springs from her seat and rushes down the aisle into the free one next to me with a huge smile of relief on her face. She squeezes me tight in a hug. "Oh my God," she mutters. "Thank you, girl. Thank you so much." I hug her back, my pulse slowly starting to steady. "It's okay. I'm actually freaking out a little, to be honest. Wow, I've never done anything like that in my whole life. Wow." "Well, I'm glad you did," she says, pulling back and smiling at me. "He came out of nowhere. I fell asleep for a while, which I know was dumb, but when I woke up he was sitting right next to me. There were so many empty seats, I didn't know what to do. I froze up, I guess." "You fell asleep too?" I ask her, frowning. I glanced to the back of the bus. Despite all the clamour, the sleeping young woman I clocked earlier still hasn't moved. Still fast asleep. She slept right through it. There's something really weird going on here. I was sleeping too, which I never normally do in public. I woke up and I didn't recognise anything through the windows. I'm totally lost, to be honest. "Me too," she says, staring right at me. "What the hell is going on? And did you see what the driver did? The driver grabbed the guy and just threw him off a moving bus. That's not something that happens." "I know." I pause. "I know." We exchange another look, and some of the tension eases. "I'm Yaz, by the way. It's nice to meet you." "Leah," she replies, with a grin and a nervous little laugh. We're both a bit on edge here, to be honest. Can you blame us? If only my brother was here, Ryan. He's a year younger than me, but he's so smart. Street smart, at least. He'd know what to do. I hope he's okay. The last I said to him was really rude. An irrational fear that I may never see him again passes through me, and I shiver, doing my best to dispel it. He'd be handling this whole situation a hell of a lot better than me. I've never really known how to talk to people. I'm already deeply self-conscious about my interactions with Leah. I hope I'm not coming across too weirdly. I don't have many friends. But regardless, I'm allowing myself to get sidetracked. I need a plan. I need to think like Ryan would. The bus has to stop eventually, right? I asked the girl. It'll be a depot or a station or something. We'll either get on another bus or there'll be a taxi we can take. I don't have loads of money, but we could definitely cover some distance in the right direction. Leah asks where I live and I tell her. With a smile of pleasant surprise, she tells me she actually lives like 2 blocks over. We bond further, but our conversation is cut short as the bus plunges into a sudden tunnel in the side of a hill. The tunnel is normal at first. Little yellow lights in the ceiling speed by, casting dim, scanning beams of gold through the windows and over the seats in regular waves. But the lights fade. Leah and I grow silent as we stare out the windows. The lights disappear one by one until we are driving through pitch dark. Black. The bus speeds along, showing no signs of slowing, but there is nothing to be seen through any of the windows. The vehicle rumbles and my pulse races, and we speed up on through the dark. What the hell is happening? Where are we? Leah whispers to me, but of course I have no idea. I have no idea at all. I don't think I'd be able to speak right now, even if I had something to say. All my efforts are currently focused on fighting a rapidly growing, pounding sense of dread, one that beats like a drum as it threatens my constitution. I've lost all sense of how fast we might be going. The only confirmation that we are moving at all is the ever rumbling and bumping of the bus engine against my feet and back. Wait, I murmur to Leah. Look ahead, there's a light. And sure enough, a tiny pinprick of light far ahead flickers into sight. And then it rushes towards us, growing and growing. In fact, it's growing faster than the bus is actually travelling. I'm sure of it. The effect is of something massive and glowing hurtling right towards us, and compared to the pitch darkness of the tunnel, it is bright as hell. I cry out in alarm and screw my eyes tight shut, in part due to the light sensitivity and in part due to reflex. And even through my closed eyelids I can tell that the bus has exited the tunnel as my surroundings are washed in a dusky orange light. The bus rumbles, and Leah grabs my sleeve. "Yaz," she says urgently. "Yaz, look!" Tentatively I do so. I open my eyes and I gasp in horror. If I thought my previous surroundings were unfamiliar, then they were nothing on this. Dark, desolate and deep scorched plains of gritty grey stone extend far out to the horizon in every direction. Plains are littered with crumbled clusters of concrete and the iron-beam skeletons of curious buildings, long since swept away in the winds as dust. I shoot a look behind through the bus's back window and am greeted by the sight of the rapidly receding tunnel, extending out from the base of a jagged black mountain. "Holy fuck," I mutter. This is... I don't have the words. I don't know what to say. The sky is a cloudless sunset orange, and unless my mind is playing tricks on me, the shadows across the plains don't quite seem to line up with the angle of the sun, a low red ball that hangs deliriously above the far black mountains. And in the distance, in the very far distance, is something moving, something colossal and alien. I cannot make out the intricacies, but it shambles slowly through the wastes on 4 seemingly mechanical legs, one heavy footstep at a time. What the hell am I going to do? Part 2. I stare in half horror, half amazement at the great shambling mechanical behemoth far out and dark against the orange of the horizon. As the dry, grey-scorched plains are largely flat, and the only units of reference are broken structural remains and occasional lumps of rock, it is difficult to gauge exactly how big the thing is and how far away it might be. Ahead, the road carries on, dead straight through these grim and dusty wastes. I squint, but there are no turns that I can see. It just goes on and on, then disappears into a fixed point far out across the desolation. Endless. I slump back down into my seat. If I was a confident person with more belief in my sense of humour, I might say, "I don't think we're in Kansas anymore." Would that be funny? It might be. I decide to keep it to myself. "What the hell are we going to do?" I murmur instead, glancing to Leah. The girl is looking over my shoulder at the sleeping young woman still at the back of the bus. "Do you think we should wake her up?" she asks me. I follow her gaze. A curious and what, under normal circumstances, would be an irrational fear takes hold of me. What if we are in her dream? I ask. What? I mean, what if all this is in that girl's head? And like, if we wake her up too, then we cease to exist? Leah doesn't respond, and I turn to her. She's looking at me with a raised eyebrow, and I flush. "Well, I dunno," I say defensively. "This whole thing is insane. It's a theory." "No, yeah, sure, okay, I get it, Leah says. She's trying to be nice, but already I feel stupid for even suggesting it. The engine of the bus rumbles on. The vehicle hits a low pothole, a crack in the road perhaps, and a juddering thud rolls from the front to the back. The young woman remains asleep. "Do you think we even could wake her up?" I ask Leah, and the girl shrugs. "We'll need to defend her if she won't. Do you have any magnets?" "No," I reply automatically, and then I pause. Wait, what? What did you say, Leah? "We'll need to defend her." Leah looks anxious all of a sudden. I become aware of a slight tension between us that I had not noticed before. The waste rolls by beyond the windows. "I mean, Yeah, like you defended me, I mean, in case anything happens, she says. I'm suddenly not so convinced anymore. I'm not so sure of this girl. Magnets? You just asked me if I had any magnets. Why would I have a magnet? Leah bites her lip, but says nothing, looking at me with an expression of guilt. Leah, I say, frustration and fear rising, do you know something about all this that I don't? Do you know what's going on here? There is another long pause, but eventually the girl nods. Yeah, she says reluctantly, kinda. I do know just a little, I think. Please, don't hate me. I've just heard things. Heard things? What's happening? I ask, with a little more force than I meant to. How did we get here? How did I get here? You have to be signed up, Leah replies quietly. I think someone has to actually sign you up for the bus. Sign me up? I repeat, taking this information in. Who would do something like that? Who would do something so twisted? But to be honest, the more I think about it, the more I realise that the potential list of people is actually quite long. Kids don't really like me at school, and again, I'm not sure why. I had no fixed friend group because I moved from across the country, so that's a part of it, I guess. I've spent so long staring at myself in the mirror, trying to work out what's different, what is specifically that sets me apart. But I just can't figure it out. Whatever. There's one girl in particular. Her name's Courtney. I swear she enjoys bullying me. I don't understand. I just don't understand how you could feel good about making someone else feel bad. Just thinking about her makes my blood boil. Would she do this? Would Courtney sign me up for something like this? How would she even know it existed? She wouldn't, surely? Questions within questions. Where are we, Leah? I ask simply, already fighting back tears. I'm scared. Okay, I hate this. I hate all of this. I don't know, the girl replies. Please, don't hate me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. It's not you, I replied. I am interrupted by a sudden noise. A loud, sharp buzz from the front of the bus. We jump in our seats and look up over the headrests. Above the front window, at the very top by the ceiling, an orange light is flickering into life, and it casts an eerie glow over an already orange-tinted interior. My ears start to pound as her voices play through the bus speakers. Leah meets my eye and she furrows her brow, cocking her head, but I can no better make out the words than she. It's just distorted, broken, crackling, like the voice they play on the subway in New York, but 10 times more indecipherable. The speech might have been clearer once, but now it's just noise. Faded, disturbing noise. I think I can just about make out the word test. I mentioned this to Leah, but that's all I can make out. Then the voice cuts off entirely and we're left with the quiet roar of the engine. The light blinks off and we sit there in silence for a minute or two. I'm about to suggest my first theory, but something out there in the wrecks of the planes catches my eye. I rise a little out of my seat in alarm and turn to the left, staring out into the unknown. I see it again, a quivering shadow darting from rock to ruin. Did you see that? I ask Leah, and she replies anxiously that there are more on the other side of the road. I can hear the uncertainty in her voice. There are more of them on this side too. I see them, the shifting shadows. Too quick for me to focus on, they jump from place to place and race across the grisly flatlands, the dark plains that seem to extend as far as one can see in every direction. Leah, I begin, my voice rising. You mentioned magnets earlier. Magnets, you said. That's right, she replies, and I can hear the panic beneath her words too. She's looking from window to window and moving herself away from the glass. Why would I need a magnet? I ask her, dreading the answer. because apparently, she whispers, they disrupt the machines. And with a sudden metallic scream, one of the creeping shadows throws itself from the edge of the wastes and slams hard with a crack into the nearest window. Leah and I shout out in terror and jump chaotically away, eyes wide and staring, until a second of the thing throws itself against another window, a little further to the right. My view of this one is still brief, but slightly better than the first. It was a picture of springs and gears, of rusted metal shards and ancient stained and cracked pistons. "What the hell was that?" I shout. "Oh my God," Leah murmurs, eyes darting from window to window. "I think this is it. I think this is them." A shadow leaps from the side of the road and it fixes itself to the front of the bus, with the sound of crunching metal, and I get my best look so far through the grimy, dusty front window. Honestly, a part of me wishes I hadn't. I can feel the blood drain from my body. I let out a low grasp of dismay, and I stagger as the bus bumps over another deep crack in the road. From head to torso, the creature resembles a man made of rusted iron. It looks as if it was hastily constructed from the wreckage of a terrible accident, a being of mismatched parts and chains and metals. Its face is featureless but for a sharp black gaping hole in the centre, revealing the ever-spinning and grinding gears inside. From the torso down, the creature splits into 6, like a great crab or spider perhaps. It whirs and shrieks and starts to pound away at the glass with a rusty fist, adjusting the positions of its many legs as it does so. "Leah! Oh my God! Leah, what do we do?" The girl is freaking out. She jumps into the aisle, then swivels to stare over my shoulder. I hear something smash against the back window and the bus judders. "Leah!" "Okay, fuck. There's a fire extinguisher in that glass box near the back. Go grab it. We can do this. We're gonna be okay." "Fire extinguisher?" "Or anything. Just get them away," Leah shouts as she rushes to slam shut one of the bus's narrow windows. A quick attempt to stop a creeping mechanical hand with its terrible grasping fingers from pushing through. I run to the back of the bus, trying to not look at the machines as they hurl themselves at the vehicle, subtly rocking it from side to side as they do so. Most of them bounce right off. Some of them crack the glass, and some of them stick. When they stick, they scream through the windows and hammer away at the bus's walls with their fists. This is insane. As bizarre and as terrifying as my surroundings are, I still experience a little rush of thrill as I smash the safety glass with my elbow in order to access the fire extinguisher. It's not something you normally expect yourself to ever do, really. It's not too big, but it's heavier than it looks, and I haul it from its place on the wall with a grunt and into my arms. Just in time, too. One of the machines smashes through the side back window with a shower of raining glass and reaches into the bus. "Stay back!" I scream and slam the extinguisher forwards. The creature's hand and forearm crumple and sparks under my repeated assault. Adrenaline pumping yet again, I keep going. With my teeth grit and sweat rolling down my back, I slam the extinguisher into the creature's head, and it buckles under the stress. Falling to the seats, and with a final brutal hard slam, I knock it back out and out of the bus entirely. It throws out its self-working hand as it falls, but its fingers clasp on nothing, and it disappears from the window to crash down hard on the road as the bus races on through the scorched and sinister wasteland. I turn to look back down to the front of the bus. Leah has herself steadied by the headrests of 2 seats, kicking out at one of the machines as it tries to claw its way up through a smallish hole that has been torn into the floor. I sprint past her to the front of the bus. "Driver!" I shout, all anxiety towards this particular interaction now well and truly past. "The bus! The bus! What are we? What are you?" But I don't even know what to say. What should I say? He's still just driving. Driving and driving. As I'm deliberating, The metal arm of one of the freaks smashes through the driver's side window. It makes to grab the wheel, but with this, the driver actually reacts. He fights it off, entirely dispassionately, and with that same surprising strength as before. He tears the arm off the machine right from its socket with a shower of sparks and rust, and the creature falls back out of sight, to be crunched up under the front wheel, and the driver unceremoniously drops the twitching limb to the floor by my feet. He didn't even look away from the road. I glanced down to his hands. Some of the driver's skin was torn away in his retaliation. There's no blood though, and why would there be? Because beneath his skin is nothing but wires and cold shining steel. A single spark flies from his exposed mechanical knuckles. Then a second, then a third. Okay, I mutter out loud as my world collapses around me, as I'm forced to rapidly adjust my senses of belief and rationality. Okay, fuck. Yes! Leah shouts, and then I turn. There's a trickle of blood down the aisle. Oh hell, is that mine? Am I bleeding? The girl! Protect the girl! And a rush of cold panic shivers from my stomach and all the way to my extremities. Leah's right, of course. The girl is entirely undefended, alone and asleep at the back of the bus. The orange glow of the sky in her hair is lost behind the shadows of an encroaching machine, one that has jumped up and onto the rear of the vehicle. This one has eyes, 2 dullied and many cracked bulbs shoved deep into its head. Like little lamps, the fixtures buzz and flicker. They scan the bus and land on the young woman. Yes! Leah shouts. Grab her! Quick! And I try. Really, I do. Extinguisher still in my arms, I sprint the length of the aisle, shielding my face from a shower of shattering glass, and I throw out a hand as I approach. Wait! I shout. Stop! But my pleas go unanswered. I stumble to the girl's seat, but I am too late. I can only watch in horror as she is scooped up and away in the arms of the machine. The mechanical terror disconnects itself from the vehicle and lands with a crunch and a cloud of dust on the cracked and unending road. The machine lifts its head to look at me through those lamp-like eyes, and as the bus continues dutifully on along its ever drive, the duo are left behind, as little more than fading figures in the day's dusk. Don't forget, if you enjoyed that story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. I'm sure they really would appreciate it. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. And don't forget to check out the merch store. The link will be in the description and also in the video thumbnail. And if you'd like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase and I'll feature it in one of the videos. Have you written a creepypasta story you would like me to narrate? Have you had any cryptid sightings, paranormal or supernatural encounters, or even had a creepy or terrifying situation you would like to share? Well, I now have my very own subreddit community where you can submit your stories. The link for that is also in the thumbnail as well as below in the description. You can submit your stories there, or you can send them to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. Now I also have a Facebook group, Twitter, Reddit and Discord. And if you'd like to support the channel and help make it grow, my PayPal is paypal.me/cryptidsroost. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. Now I also have a Facebook group, Twitter, Reddit and Discord. And if you would like to support the channel and help make it grow, my PayPal is paypal.me/cryptidsroost, and any and all donations would be gratefully received. Again, that will also be below. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.